it is time to start our public hearing this evening. This is a school board public hearing to receive public comments on the district's capital projects plan, bus replacement plan, and 2024 budget. Notice of this public hearing and an overview of these documents were published on the Whitko Community School website and Gateway, Indiana on September the 6th. This public hearing is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation on the regular meeting agenda with item number 5. The board receives agenda item information and rationale for administrative recommendations for their thorough review before each meeting. Whitko Business Manager Lynn Leininger will present the capital projects, bus replacement, and 2024 budget plans. Lynn, the floor is yours.
Good evening. This is the 2024 annual budget hearing, and I just have some forms that I shared with the board, and the public can see these as well. This notice of taxpayers was published with the Gateway website, so people could go online and see what our proposed budgets and rates and levies were for the next school year. It's also on the Whitko website, whitko.org. As you'll see here on this notice of taxpayer that's up on the screen, this is the public hearing tonight, and then next month on the 23rd, the board will have their next board meeting and they can adopt the budget at that time. This is an open public hearing for anybody to make comments if they have anything when we're done presenting. At the bottom of this form, you'll see the various funds broke out with the amount of budgets we're proposing for 2024, as well as the tax levies that we're proposing as well. In addition to this being on the whitco.org website, there's also a list of our bus replacement plan for the next 5 years. That's our estimate for all the buses we plan to purchase. And then we have details for 2024, what we're looking to actually purchase. And it shows the bus that we're replacing and the cost of the new bus to replace that bus. In 2024, we have 2 full-size school buses, one that's equipped with special education equipment, and then also a minibus for a total of $412,473. Also on the whitco.org website is the capital projects fund with all the capital expenditures that exceed $10,000. We're estimating these various equipment that we'll have to replace over the next 3 years. Part of that is the school bus plan. It's included with that. So you'll see the school buses listed. You'll see some equipment purchases that we're planning on doing. And then we're also estimating some building upgrades over the next 3 years. And part of that capital projects plan is the breakout of repairs and maintenance needed at the buildings. So we list the various school buildings, facilities of painting and replacement of carpet and upgrades that are needed with the wear and tear at the buildings. A lot of times when we talk about budgets, people are interested to find out where the money is coming from, how we get the money to fund our expenditures. This first diagram here kind of talks about the education fund. In 2019, the state kind of pulled out everything associated with the classroom education. All the salaries and benefits for the teachers aides, principal offices, the curriculum and classroom supplies, all were put into the education fund. And the funding for that then is broke out into 2 categories, the state support and the local funds. And you'll notice that 95% of the funding for education is coming all from basically the basic grant of the state. We have 5% that comes from local funds as well as interest, but 95% is all set up through the ADM counts through the state. They have a funding formula they pass every biennium, And then based on the students, the money follows the students in the education fund. So the main support that comes into state support is the tuition support, and that's your enrollment, that's your ADM counts for your school. We do that twice a year. We do it October 2nd this year and then February 1st next year. And they make adjustments throughout the year based on the number of enrolled students in the corporation. Additional funding comes from special education counts. As you have special needs for your education kids, the money kind of follows the student as far as those programs. And then there's also vocational education through CT dollars here at the Career Academy that we get funding for based on the type of classes they enroll and they take as well. So those are in addition to just the ADM counts. And then we get a little bit of an increase for the honors program, and that's less than 1% of the total funding. It's just a little bit of an increase for our honors program. ADM looks like it's down just a little bit from last year. 1168 is the last number I heard from Pam, who is our data reporter. And even though, ADM may be going down, I guess the positive is we are getting more funding through the state through the funding formula. So even with a little bit of a decline in enrollment, I view it as an opportunity that we can then take that funding and at least support our kids here at the school with more funding to help them to achieve their success. The operation fund is the next slide. And unlike the education fund, this is everything supporting operations of the school corporation. This is our school buses that we buy. This is the capital projects. This is the custodial, IT, central office, transportation for the bus driver salaries, maintenance, all falls into this one fund of operations. So it's supporting the operation of the school. And you'll see that there's 0% coming in for state support. It's all locally raised funds through tax dollars and through excise, CVET, and FIT. There is a law that's, ever since they broke these two funds out like this, that we're allowed to transfer up to 15% of our basic grant into the operation fund. This year we're proposing to transfer just under 11% of our basic grant money over to operations to help cover the overall operation cost. Last year we were a little over 8%, so we're just needing a little bit more money there to cover our operations, and that's what we're proposing in this budget. I don't know how well this reads on the overhead, but this is the education fund form that I have to complete for the state. This basically tells the state how we're going to budget our funds, where the revenue is coming from, the property taxes if there is any. It just kind of supports how we're going to do that fund and to make sure that we're financially strong in that fund. The highlights of the education fund, you'll see on line 11 there is no tax dollars or levy, so that's 0. We have our budget estimate coming in at a little under 11 million for education. And the school transfer that we talked about is in there as well as the amount that we're transferring over to cover our operation costs as well. The next screen is the operations fund. And you'll see there on line 11 we have the property tax levy, which is the legally allowed amount that we can raise in taxes for operation. We couldn't raise more if we wanted to. That's all we can raise. There's a line right underneath that's called the property tax cap impact. What that says is that if your assessed value goes up 1%, if you're residential, or 2% for a business, or 3%, anything above that percentage, you as a taxing unit can't keep. The following year, they reduce it from your tax collections. So we basically, through the property tax cap or the circuit breaker, will have to reduce our tax levy capability by $122,000. The budget estimate is $5.777 million. So as you can see, the tax dollars coming in are 3.9. plus the other miscellaneous revenues, and we have a budget of about 5.8 million. So that's why we're using some of the transfer capabilities to cover our operation costs from education. You'll see there at the bottom that the tax rate is 0.6522. That's artificially high. We always want to adopt high, and then we can come back in, and the state will actually give us our actual tax rates. But you'll see the assessed value there is $601 million. Our actual assessed value is $668 million for 2024. Last year it was $26 million last year. So it is increasing. When we use the actual assessed value, that tax rate will come down. This is our debt service worksheet that we have to complete. Those first two debts listed there are current debts that we have that we're paying back on. It's the elementary refinance that we did in 2022 on both of our elementary buildings. And then also the general obligation bond of 2021, which was the work we did down at the high school and the track and the gym and other areas down at the high school. Those are those payback schedules coming through right there. And then the additional debt service we have to list and advertise, that's the one that we are currently selling bonds on, having a lease rental payment starting next year for the addition down at the middle school for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, junior high. That form just feeds into the form that we turn into the state on the debt service fund. The budget estimate's $3.612 million. We have property tax levy of a little under $3 million, and you'll see a tax rate down there at 49 cents to cover all of our debt needs. I guess we're having a pause here.
It's a rainy day.
I can't see, does it say rainy day fund up there?
It does, it says rainy day.
Okay, I got the right one. Rainy day fund's nothing more than an emergency type fund and a savings fund. In case state money would be delayed for any reason, or we'd have an emergency in the school corporation that we had to take care of right away, we have $1 million sitting out there in its own fund to be used for, obviously, just emergency needs. And we budget every year $500,000. We never spend it, or we haven't spent it, and there's no tax rate associated with it. It was money moved over from other appropriations that weren't used in the past. So what I just want to kind of summarize is that we look at an advertised tax rate of $1.14 right now. But when the actual assessed value comes in, the way I anticipate it being, I mean, I already know the assessed value, it should be around 98 to 99 cents adopted as our final rate for all of our funds. And that's all I have. Any
We're
questions?
like 106 right now, weren't we? 106.
We were, in 2022, we were at 106.
So
And then we had a really big spike in assessed values of 18% last year, so we were around 92 cents. But so we're still under the dollar, but we're like 98 to 99 cents.
To be clear, I guess, or to make sure people know, on the bus replacement schedule, that's dictated by the number of years in service by the state, right? We don't really have too much choice in whether or not we buy a new bus or not.
They want you to replace all buses after 12 years. We have some buses that are over 12 years. This is trying to get us back in that time span. According to Rhonda, they have to do an additional inspection, anything over 12 years, but they can still continue to run
Okay.
if it's over 12 years old.
At the work session, you mentioned that in the past, we had money, let's say in a checking account, and we moved it into a CD.
Yes.
I would like you to explain to the public what you were getting and what we are getting now in terms of interest, because I think you need to get some credit for that, because that was a good move on your part. So,
Well, rates have went up, and that's never good, but for investing, it is good. So We had 38,000 total in interest last year.
38,000.
38,000. And we've been buying CDs of $3 and $5 million increments, and we should give about $300,000 in interest this year.
300,000.
Yeah.
And you have the ability to move that to the funds that you need to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thanks.
Right now, all the interest goes into the education, but it can get filtered to other funds as well, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. It's now time for the public comments portion. The board members will now hear public comments on capital projects, bus replacement, and the 2024 budget. These comments will be taken into consideration prior to the final adoption of these plans at the October 23rd meeting. Does anyone have any comments? No? All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn this portion of our meeting.
I move we adjourn this portion of our meeting. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn this portion of the meeting, which is the capital projects plan, bus replacement plan, and 2024 budget. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. This portion of the meeting is adjourned. Okay, moving on to our regular meeting. We're going to call this meeting to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have no media here tonight. So we're going to go on to our Students of the Month. We're going to start with Whitko Senior High student Chase Bays, nominated by Mike Howard and Wayne Swinder.
And this is neither one.
So unfortunately, Chase could not be here tonight, but I have some thoughts from two of her teachers. Chase has greeted both Mr. Swinder and Mr. Howard every day for the last 2 years with a smile and genuine concern as to how we were doing. Chase is always willing to partner with a struggling student, new student, or anyone that we may ask. In strength and conditioning class, she pushes the younger lifters and has mastered all of our key lifts to be a great role model and demonstrator of correct form. Chase is a sincere, thoughtful, and compassionate member of our class and the type of student we are trying to cultivate here. Sincerely, Mr. Howard and Mr. Swinder.
Thank you.
Our congratulations to Chase. From the junior high, nominated by Teresa Neppel, we have Lewis Skinner.
I also have a few notes from multiple teachers about Lewis. He is a kind-hearted, disciplined young man. His leadership is strong. He strives to do his best and pushes others around him to succeed as well. He is active in the community and football while keeping up with his studies. That is from Mrs. Neppel. Mr. Coyle says, Lewis is also assigned as a class leader in his social studies class. He helps the teacher prepare the class for the lesson that day by handing out any class material before class starts. Furthermore, he assists the teacher with any lesson modeling for other students to gain a better perspective of the requirements. And we hope to have you as a social studies teacher here someday. But congratulations, Lewis.
Congratulations, Lewis. From the Whitko Career Academy, nominated by Ken Johns, we have Crew Ebbinghaus.
All right, so I'm here tonight to tell you a little bit about this exemplary young man here who has really stepped up in class to become a leader. When we needed help to get the path out here set up, we had a grant to put in a paver path between the Ag Barn over towards the Career Academy. Crew was one of the students that really stepped up to make sure it got done. He was helping motivate all the other students to go through and keep working to make sure it got done right, and was really making sure that it did get done right. He has attention and eye for detail. He's been great in the classroom, really coming across as one of our scholars, and we hope to see many great things from him over the next 4 years.
Thank you.
Congratulations, crew. From South Whitley Elementary, nominated by Cindy Hatton and Aaron Collier, we have Olivia Walter.
Olivia is a star student and is incredibly bright and creative. She uses her kind heart to help her classmates and always tries to make the people around her feel valued. Olivia is responsible, polite, helpful, and trustworthy. Once you get to know her, her sweet personality really shines through. Keep up the great work, Olivia. And I would say, as I've gotten to know her too, what I love about Olivia and what we want Whitko students to be is determined and to have grit. So while she's kind and is helpful, she also has determination and grit that's going to just take her so far. So congratulations, Olivia.
Congratulations, Olivia. And finally, from Pearson Elementary, nominated by Claire Frame, we have Ryder Cloud.
So this is what kindergarten teacher Mrs. Claire Frame says about Ryder. He's been nominated for Student of the Month because of his hard work, kindness towards others, and his overall positive attitude. Ryder walks into class every day and gives me a warm smile and a chipper good morning. With being new to school as a kindergartner, Ryder is taken to the routine of daily activities very well. He always follows directions and stays on task. He also has many friends in class and is willing to lend a helping hand. He is a student I can count on, and I can't wait to watch him grow this year. Congratulations, Ryder.
Congratulations, Ryder. I'm going to read a few headliners, which is great news from around the district, and then our students of the month can leave if they'd like to. So we're going to start out with Wyatt Clark. We have kudos to Whitko senior Wyatt Clark for being featured on Ink Free News' Student Spotlight this past week. Wyatt's interest in mechanics and tractors have led him in an ag mechanics pathway at the Career Academy, which has paved the way for him to follow his dreams and look forward to the pursuit of being a John Deere certified technician after high school. In golf news, we want to congratulate the Whitko girls golf team for placing 5th recently at the Warsaw Regionals. And finally, we have a drum major extraordinaire in our midst. Shout out to Kylie Kern for winning Best Drum Major in Open Class D last Saturday at the band competition hosted by Northwestern. So congratulations to all those great headliners for this month. If the students of the month want to leave, you're welcome to do so at this point. We're going to move on to our reports, principal and director reports. We're going to start tonight with Jamie Pano, our Director of Alternative Services.
Hello. We have been very busy at the Learning Center. Our food and nutrition plan has been FSSA approved, and so that takes us to the next level of our licensing steps. The next thing that will happen is we will have a fire and safety inspection with the fire marshal. Upon approval by the fire marshal, we will then become a licensed center. couple weeks ago, I went down actually to Indianapolis, and I had a variance waiver established for one of our classrooms because it doesn't have an exterior door outside to the immediate outside. They granted us the waiver, and which is great because now we don't have to put in a $20,000 door and knock down a wall. So that's great. We are anticipating the licensure inspection within the next couple of weeks. Once that happens, we will become Whitko Early Learning Academy, home of the Little Cats. We're combining the infant, the preschool, all together under one umbrella, and it will be WELA, or Whitko Early Learning Academy. We've been so grateful to have food services in place. That has been a game changer for us to be able to become a fully licensed center. And we've successfully have implemented the high scope curriculum with ongoing support from the Kosciuszko County Launchpad. We're very excited for our renovation project. Homeschool pathway updates. We have 33 enrollments from 2nd to 12th grade with 4 additional students who have sent in transfer paperwork. This is rolling enrollment and will continue throughout the year, even through summer. We are doing another big marketing push starting this week. And students are encouraged to participate in extracurricular activities, career pathway courses, creating a hybrid experience. I did a touch-in with a lot of the parents and students last week, and the parents are loving the program. It's keeping their kids accountable and engaged, and I've heard some really great feedback. Grant updates. The FSSA has announced that in October, a $25 million grant will be offered to employers in Indiana with more than 20 employees, and this includes school districts. The corporation was approved for a $50,000 match grant, and it's our safety grant from the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. And I have been working on a breakdown of our corporation grant initiatives, and I will have that to you very soon. Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work on that, Jamie. From Pearson Elementary, we have Christy Hopper.
Good evening. I'm going to begin by just kind of talking about a few things that we've been collaborating around. Mr. Moyer from the junior senior high and Mrs. Cooper have been coordinating with us about fire safety, CPI training, Alice lockdown drill protocols, and basically anything that's school safety. So I'm really excited about updating all those protocols and training. I want to thank Tina Campbell, the master teacher at Pearson, for facilitating the first announced NIET cycle evaluation. So I survived my first candidate, made it all the way through today, so I appreciated her collaboration and training around that even further than I received this summer. It was good to just do it with somebody else and make sure that we were aligned in observations. Cluster training coming up. We have routines in ARC, literacy lab, ERLA components, and formative assessment. So several components that we're working our way through in units 1 and 2 in the reading program. We just finished our first ARC visit from the ARC coach, Kate Stucco, and she had a lot of good feedback for the school. She thought we jumped in full-heartedly, and probably about a little over half of our staff was already ERLA screening students for their reading levels. So that was pretty exciting to get baseline data for reading. And she's just going to continue to work with us on setting goals and really power goals for students and just the routines of literacy labs. So I think that's pretty awesome for the next couple weeks. Individual growth plans for certified staff. We're continuing to work on that with mentor teachers and push that out to the rest of our staff. Upgrading grade level meetings are going to be twice a month. So the first one is coming up, and we're going to be focusing on NWEA data and ERLA data. and reviewing the school improvement plan and how that data ties into our interventions and goals in our school improvement plan. Updates for PTO, we have the school carnival coming up in November, so planning continues for that. And our International Dot Day last Friday was pretty successful. The kids did a lot of fun activities. We got an awesome playground picture, and a lot of reading activities took place. I had a lot of fun with that. And then we already did Student of the Month, so I think that is a quick synopsis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hopper.
Thank you.
From South Whitley Elementary, we have Mr. Joel Hallsopper. Excuse me, Hallsopper.
So shout out to the teachers and staff as they dig into the ARC curriculum, which stands for American Reading Company. We're implementing new curriculum, which, as we've been told and we know, takes several years to fully implement. So we are learning new things and leaving behind past practices, which is really hard for all of us, when we do anything that involves change. Teachers are doing an incredible job realizing that this will create learning opportunities and enhance the skills of our students. And we're realizing what we need to do right now is set up those processes and procedures, which is a little bit, it's hard because we want to dig right in, but we need to set our students up with the structures we have to have. So I want to publicly acknowledge that my staff is rising to the challenge of educating our students. So thank you to the staff. Our instructional leadership team is going to be facilitating coaching partnerships with teachers to support instruction based on our NIET Teaching and Learning Standards rubric and also the ARC curriculum that we're using. So trying to combine those things to continue to grow our teachers, which will grow our students. I'm really excited too that our students in the future are going to be creating their own learning goals. Mrs. Hopper talked about the individual reading assessment that we're doing. It's the IRLA. I missed a letter there, but it's an assessment that teachers are using to know where students are at. And we're then going to use that so that teachers know the skills that their students need, and then also can identify for the students and with the students what the student needs to work on so the students can be aware. And that's a piece of our learning rubric that the teachers have, that students know what they're working on too. So we're excited about that. The last piece is that one of the things that we're going to be doing is the South Whitley Elementary is planning to participate in the South Whitley Fall Festival. So any of you would be welcome to join us in walking, riding during that time. We love our students and their families, so we're excited to participate in that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. From Whitko Career Academy, we have Mr. Chris Benedict.
Good evening. Last time we talked a little bit about OSHA training with our Career Safe. That's up and going. Another portion of that's going to happen this year also is employability skills for our students to take part of. All the programs can take part in those employability skills, which is one of our goals here at the Career Academy. Essentially, there's 11 different certifications that students can take, and on that OSHA training as well for employability skills. So each one of those certifications they get, they can print that off as a certificate, put that in with their resume wherever they're trying to apply at any job, saying we have an employability skill of whatever that skill may have been that they have taken for those 11 tests that they could do. So we're excited about that opportunity for all of our students. That's a little different from the last time. The last one was basically obviously the safety training that goes with all the OSHA before they can get turned onto the cool stuff when they get into the labs and start doing the hands-on stuff. So that's one thing we wanted to talk about. Also, Whitko Career Academy, again, is partnering with Whitley County Community Corrections to teach night classes for the work release participants. This semester, we're offering a business course. We've offered CNC and welding in the past. This is the first time we've done a business course that's focusing on Google and Microsoft documents in the workplace. We have 7 participants that are taking part in that on Mondays and Wednesday nights. So it's exciting to be a part of that with the Whitley County Community Corrections. Also, our work-based learning program is highlighting a senior student of each month and their employer. And headliners tonight, you talked about Wyatt Clark. I just wanted to mention Emma Engelhalt was our August student that we focused on. She is working at the Animal Hospital in Syracuse. That's something that we're doing a little bit more to kind of focus on those senior work-based learning students. Our teachers this year will be focusing on their IGPs. That will be coming up a little bit later. As we start that process, it's part of their evaluation process. At the Career Academy, we're going to focus on the corporation goal for reading. We're going to take industry-based vocabulary and make a pre-test and a post-test for all those industry-based terms that may be specific to their particular program that they're in, and we'll utilize a technical reading passage, like a technical reading passage that incorporates those words, those vocabulary into that testing to make sure that we're kind of helping that corporation goal of reading. So that's how the Career Academy is going to attack that with the IGPs this year. Our 8th grade students, college and career students, again, will be taking part of Job Spark for junior achievement. And then the cool thing that they're also doing this year is the C3 implementation of the ASK program. And that is a working document that the student will develop in that 8th grade year, in that college and careers class, that will travel with them all the way through their senior year. It has career planning, it has career choices, it has all kinds of things to get to know. It's kind of like get them to know, get them to connect, get them to figure out exactly where they're going to plan their 4-year career at the high school level. The guidance counselors can use it as well. The activity teachers can use it at the junior, senior high school as well to have that personal connection with the student. And the goal is obviously that student's going to have that working document. It's a workbook that they kind of go through. It's an online book that can stay with them. They just have to download it, upload it into their system. It's kind of a Google Doc, so to speak, that they kind of work their way through, and they'll be able to speak intelligently about what their plans are and what they want to do and what they want to work towards. And that will kind of be something that we'll do once we get this kind of up and going, we'll have the parents come in with the 8th graders so they can kind of see that as well, so they can see all of those things. And the cool thing about it, the workbook has hot links to everything that you could possibly imagine. So if a kid needs to talk about, or a parent wants to look about financial aid, what's that look like? Boom, there's a hot button. It will take you to a financial aid site to kind of look at all the different things that are there. Scholarships, it'll have a hot button. It'll take you to that. So it's a neat thing for our students and our parents to be a part of, and hopefully help them guide a little bit about what they want to do in the future. So excited about that process that we're getting done. The construction trades program will begin working on their first job site, running underground HVAC ductwork the first week of October. Mr. Neely, again, continues to find real-world applications and experiences for our students. It's really cool for them to be a part of that job site. The criminal justice class and intro to public safety classes were able to honor and remember September 11th, 2001 through the Remember the Sky social media event hosted on 9/11 Memorial and Museum. The students have been studying these tragic events of September 11th through the Homeland Security Unit. They basically kind of went out and took a picture of the sky, basically wanting people to remember what the sky looks like and what happened on that tragic day that we kind of looked at. So they've been studying that in their Homeland Security Unit, and Mrs. Anderson again does a tremendous job again of finding some real world application things to kind of tie that curriculum in. So that's what's going on at the Academy. Any questions?
That's a lot. I do
Yeah.
have a question about the correctional folks coming in,
Yep.
which I think is an awesome program.
Mhm.
How many do we have coming in? How do they get here? What's the transportation look like?
They have 7. We have 7 individuals that come. They bring them by van, and they bring them on Monday, Wednesdays. They drop them off in the back. It's been an ExceedNet class. She takes them into the computer lab, and then they pick them up at 7. She walks them right there at the back door, and they come in that back door. So they're here from 5 to 7 on Mondays and Wednesdays. We were going to do a CNC class on Tuesday, Thursdays. They didn't have enough signed up to do it. They get recommended through the work release program through Courtney Gray and Paula Warden. They have to go through a screening process in order to be able to do that. They send us all the information, so we have that on record and file, and then that happens on Monday, Wednesdays, and then we didn't have something go for Tuesday, Thursday. Second semester, the hope is to either have a CNC or a welding, and then on the Monday, Wednesdays, maybe have a culinary class where they can do 10 meals or whatever, where they can kind of plan that out so they can budget how to work that and make a nutritional meal for their siblings and for their kids.
Do we have any way to keep track of these folks once they've gone through these programs and see where they're at down the road?
They check in with with Paula Warden and Courtney Gray, and then they share that information with us. And the cool thing about it is that, you know, they may not come out with an actual certification in anything, other than the fact that it's tied to September McConnell, it's tied to Matt Doms in the CNC world, it's tied to Sandy and her work-based specialist with all the people that she's worked with over the years. So it comes to them that they know that program's happening, it's going on. It helps them get their foot in the door to get interviews. We had a young man that got a job a year ago that has come back and shared with the other night class that we had the second semester. He went through the first one, and he came and spoke at the graduation ceremony for the second one to just say, it works, I got a job interview, it was wonderful, I'm still employed today because of that. And it just kind of, you know, I'm not going to go back through that same process again because I have this opportunity. So we do track that. Courtney Gray and Paula has most of that information that they can share with us and let us know exactly where they got employed and where they're working to. Okay.
I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, it is fun. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, from the Whitko Junior Senior High, we have Mrs. Amy Evans.
I think the thing that I would like to focus on today is our upcoming homecoming activities next week. Once again, we're doing the parade. I love our staff. Monday is going to be a really interesting day. We're doing everything but a backpack day. Look it up, Google it. It's going to be a really interesting, fun day. So other than that, our Whitko band is performing over the next few weeks at Carroll and Homestead. And then we have picture retakes October 12th. Any questions?
Short and sweet.
Yep.
Thank you. Athletic Director Barry Singray.
We should thank her for going everywhere.
Good evening. Thanks for having me here tonight. Just a couple athletic updates. Facilities. We continue to evaluate all our facilities. In the last couple weeks, we're working on a plan to sort of evaluate the condition and create a rotation for all our outdoor windscreens for football, baseball, softball, and tennis. When you have nice windscreens, it just makes the facility look fuller, brighter, and cleaner. So excited about that. Something we'll begin to start implementing and purchasing this fall. Couple program updates, some upcoming events. Tennis senior night will be this Wednesday the 20th. Volleyball senior night will be next Thursday the 28th. And then as Mrs. Evans touched on, homecoming will be Friday the 29th. Our football senior night will be October 13th. So lots happening between now and our next board meeting. We'll also have some upcoming introduction nights for junior high volleyball and our cross-country program. Winter athletics, Nate and I are currently reviewing and finalizing all of our winter schedules, and all schedules and updates can be found on EventLink, and we'll continue to share those as those happen. Feeder program updates. This fall, we had 165 participants across flag football, our new cross-country program, and our youth cheer program. So if you were out at the football game last Friday, we probably had about 130 of those kids there between football and cheer. So gets a little hectic, but exciting to see all the kids participating. Coming up, our youth girls basketball is underway. They're actually here this evening practicing for all 3rd through 8th grade girls, and our youth boys basketball will begin October 10th. A couple quick thank yous. The Booster Club, I want to thank them for organizing and running the grill at all our home football games. Football games require a lot of workers, so for them to take that off our plate, really appreciate it. Also want to thank the Student Council for helping to facilitate the hospitality tent during home football games as well. And then wanted to give a shout out to our student section. After our first home football game, I was a little upset when I walked through the stands and I saw all the trash in that area, and I briefly mentioned it to a couple students. And this past Friday, as I walked through our stands, I could not find a piece of trash in the student section. And I never really demanded anything out of them. I just mentioned it to them, and they must have really taken it to heart. So really appreciate our leaders in the student section for going above and beyond. I was very impressed. And then lastly, moving forward, we're doing so many great things, and we need to increase our media and social media presence. So that's sort of one thing we're working on, and Nate and I have discussed a few ideas of how to get our student athletes and our programs promoted a little more in the media and social media. So got some ideas for that, and we'll look forward to sharing those with you throughout the fall and winter. So that's all I have. Any questions?
I look forward to hearing those.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Carrie Walmer, which is our Director of Special Services.
I'll try to keep mine short and sweet too. Community-based instruction started for our students in grades K to 12 in our applied skills programs, so they've been participating in the weekly sensory swim at the Y. In addition to that, our blue team is back in action here at the Career Academy, focusing on work-based competencies that will be transferable into employment settings. Looking at some of the grant information, we've solidified all of our purchase orders for the American Rescue Grant. This brought in approximately $87,000 worth of funds to spend on supplies and then additional materials. I've completed our Part B 611 and Part B 619 grants as well. That'll bring in approximately $340,000 that then goes back to special education personnel and resources. Approval just came in last night that we were awarded the full $10,500 paraprofessional development training grant. This will be utilized to strengthen our paraprofessional capacity and the implementation of strategies and instructional supports they provide to our students.
Great.
Do you have any questions?
No, that's great. That's good.
Sounds great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, Jason Klein, our Director of Technology.
Can't hear you.
The technology department has been working with school pays, which is ARC, to make sure that all of those curriculum changes have been running smoothly. I am muted. Sorry about that. I usually follow all of these really amazing lists of things that are happening, and I've only got a few things to add. But the technology department is working with School Pace, which is ARC, to make sure that our newest curriculum changes are running smoothly. And I have to echo Mr. Holzapfel on the amazing job the staff has done in keeping us up to date with what they're running into any kind of problems with, so that we can get it taken care of as quickly as possible, so that they can begin working with their students in a timely fashion. They have been amazing. We are also in the process of implementing Parent Square as our method of school-to-family communication. This will enable our teachers and staff to safely communicate with parents and students while maintaining transparency and privacy. It will also be the primary notification system for district news. I'm sure many of you have probably already gotten invitations to create accounts or download the app. The app is not necessary, but it is definitely helpful. And I will have more information about that at our next meeting, just to give everybody a heads up of where we're at with that. And lastly, some of our department members will be doing some professional development in the near future. The Hoosier Educational the Hoosier Educational Computer Coordinators annual conference is in November, and a couple of our department members will be going to that as usual to pick up on some of the newest trends and things that are available for us to bring to our school. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In 4.0, we have the superintendent update.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge a donation of $2,430 to our Whitko football program from Zimmer Biomet's employee match program, which is very generous of that our employees to do. And just to kind of echo what we heard here today, I had the pleasure of attending the cluster this morning, the cluster meeting over at Pearston Elementary School, and very impressed with what everyone's doing there to implement our ARC program. It's great to see our clusters become a resource and time and a time for our teachers to get together and really put applications into place and work together. And also what's impressive that I want to call out is that the same routines that were being discussed this morning at Pearston, the routines in ARC is the classrooms become reading labs, and they have routines that they establish first. And there's a series of checklist of routines that they do with the students to get them ready for reading. And once those routines are in place, then they'll administer all the students what you've heard that acronym a couple of times tonight, that IRA. It's the individual reading level assessment, in which it's a baseline assessment that'll be given to all our students. And then they can kind of target the student and where their level is and what they need to do to remediate and bring them up to grade level reading. And so the same routines that were being discussed this morning and put in place by a master teacher in Pierceton are the same routines that are being discussed at South Whitley Elementary. So we're working together as one with our elementaries. Also, coupled with that is our 2 language art teachers from the high school are attending the clusters at South Whitley Elementary, and they are getting ready to already begin to give their assessments to their students there. So they're all working together, which is, I think, just great. And then what wraps all around that is to read to me the RTM intervention program, where when they get these students after the assessment, then the wraparound is the RTM program. And Chris hasn't heard this yet, but we need students, we need people that are staff to go in and read and help with this, and we're hoping we can get some of our teaching cadets to kind of filter out in the elementaries and fill those gaps, because I think it's a good opportunity for them too. So, but we'll talk about that later. But very impressive, and ARC is being expertly implemented by our master teachers and building level administrators and our teachers. The buy-in is so strong with it that when you go to the cluster and see them working at it, they're all very excited, they're all very much on task, and they're just, the conversations as you walk around and listen to are incredible. So very exciting and very proud of all of them. So good job to all of you, and good job to all of our teachers and staff out there for this.
Thank you, it's very encouraging. We have no public comments tonight, so we're going to go ahead and move on to our business reports and consent agenda. Again, we have an extensive list. Lots of things going on. So let's go ahead and get a motion to accept our business reports and consent agenda.
I move we accept our business report and consent agenda.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we accept our business reports and consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes. All right, and new business, 7.0, we have 7.1 actually is the approval of Chris Shoemaker's conflict of interest disclosure statement. Chris is the school board appointee to the South Whitley Community Public Library. Can I get a motion to approve Chris Shoemaker's conflict of interest disclosure statement?
I move that we approve Chris Shoemaker's conflict of interest disclosure statement.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve Chris Shoemaker's conflict of interest disclosure statement. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand. Aye. And those opposed? The motion passes. 7.2 is the approval of Neola special updates from July 2023. Could I get a motion to approve these special updates, please?
I move that we approve the Neola special updates for July 2023.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the Neola special updates from July of 2023. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes. 7.3 is the approval of a $2,000 stipend payment to Amy Evans for serving as the district's 2022-23 test coordinator. Can I get a motion to approve this, please?
I move. Go ahead. I move we approve the $2,000 stipend to Amy Evans for the test coordinator.
I
for the
second it.
district.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the $2,000 stipend payment to Amy Evans for serving as the district's test coordinator. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 7.4 is the appointment of J.D. Maurer as a school safety specialist as recommended by Mr. Pavarnik. Could I get a motion to approve that, please?
I move that we move forward with appointing of J.D. Maurer as the safety specialist.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the appointment of J.D. Maurer as the school safety specialist. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. 7.5 is the contractor bid award for Whitko Early Learning Center Academy renovations as recommended by MKM Architects. Could I get a motion to accept that contractor bid?
I move we accept the contractor bid award for the Whitko Early Learning Center Academy renovations as recommended by MKM Architects.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we accept the contractor bid award for the Early Learning Center Academy renovations as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes. 7.6 is the approval of Friday, May 31st, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. as the class of 24's graduation day and time. Can I get a motion to approve this graduation date and time?
I move that we approve Friday, May 31st, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Class of 24's graduation date.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve Friday, May 31st, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. as the class of 2024's graduation date and time. Is there any discussion?
I have some discussion.
Okay.
You know, it gets harder and harder for parents to plan ahead and rent venues for their students for graduation. I'm just wondering if there's a reason why we have our calendar set, I think, 5 years ahead or so, 3 to 5 years ahead. It's been already board approved. Would the board allow me to, and the high school staff to go through and set that date moving forward to approve at the next board meeting so they're done and on the calendar, so parents don't have to wait for us to approve it the year of to make those plans for their families?
That's a great idea.
I think that'd be fine,
Yes.
as long as it's okay, counselors, principals, all that.
Yeah, I want to get together with them and let the powers to be guide me on that one.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Is all those in favor of Friday, May 31st, 2024 at 6:30 as the class of 24's graduation date and time, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion passes. 7.7 is the use of a Whitko Community Schools bus from North Manchester First Brethren Church to Upworth Forest in North Webster on October 19th, 22nd, 26th, 29th, and November 3rd and 5th, as requested by Brock Ostrom. This is an annual trip to Way of Christ weekend retreats. Could I get a motion to approve the use of a bus for these the Way of Christ weekend retreats, please?
I move that we accept the motion to use the Whitko bus for the Way of Christ weekend retreats.
I second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve using a school bus from Whitko to transport children to the Way of Christ weekend retreats. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
And those opposed? The motion passes. 7.8 is the approval of Brenda Linke's contract as teacher of record / independent contractor as requested by Carrie Walmer. Can I get an approval of Brenda Linke's contract, please?
I move that we approve Brenda Lindsay's contract as teacher of record, independent contractor for Whitko.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve Brenda Linke's contract as a teacher of record / independent contractor. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
And those opposed? The motion passes. 7.9 is the approval of Mindy Ann Meadows' contract as an orientation and mobility specialist / independent contractor, also requested by Carrie Walmer. Can I get a motion to approve Mindy Ann Meadows' contract?
I move we approve Mindy Ann Meadows' contract as an orientation and mobility specialist / independent contractor, requested by Carrie Walmer.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve Mindy Ann Meadows' contract as an orientation and mobility specialist / independent contractor. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
And those opposed? The motion passes. 7.10 is the approval of Melissa Matthews' contract for blind low vision services / independent contractor, requested by Carrie Walmer. Can I get an approval of Melissa Matthews' services for the contract for blind and low vision services?
I move that we approve Melissa Matthews' contract as presented by Carrie Walmer.
I second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve Melissa Matthews' contract for blind low vision services and independent contractor. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes. In 7.11, we have the approval of annual field trips plus the following field trips which are listed for us to read, which I think we've all read. Could I get a motion to approve the annual field trips and the one-time field trips listed?
I move that we approve the annual field trips and the others that are listed on the agenda.
I second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the annual field trips and the one-time field trips listed. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
And those opposed? The motion passes. We have no old business at this time. Mr. Pavarnik, do you have any miscellaneous administrative items?
I just want to acknowledge and thank Mr. Lenniger for his hard work on the budget. It's no easy task to do. In fact, it's very daunting. And he's been huddled up in his office for a long time getting that done. So thank you for that, Mr. Lenniger. Nice job. And I want to also acknowledge and thank Mrs. Pano and Mrs. Walmer for their incredible work on our grants and bringing the grants up to date and giving them in. A couple of them were kind of last minute that they had to kind of ramrod through, but they got them in, got them approved, and I think that's great work. So great work for you guys. Thank you. And October 10th will be our collective bargaining meeting. So collective bargaining will officially begin. That's all I have.
Thank you. A few miscellaneous items. The homecoming is September 29th with halftime activities. This is a Whitko versus Manchester Squires game. The next school board meeting is a work session, which is Wednesday, October the 11th at 4 o'clock in Pearson Elementary at the cafeteria. The next regular school board meeting is Monday, October 23rd at 6:30, right here in this room. I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn tonight's meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you all.